I want to explain it. I want to know what it is. I want to know what I saw. I want to just to settle it in my mind, just to know what it were that we saw, and you know, it's a bit like that, a bit closure on it, I suppose. Then it was a feeling I never had before. To try and comprehend what I was looking at, to how I was feeling and everything, it was just overwhelming. I don't think we'll ever know exactly what it were.
What do you think its intentions were?
Really shitting myself, but I never got that feeling it were gonna come for us.
How did you find location?
I actually found that location on Google Maps originally. Saw that there was a water source running through it, and thought I'll go and check it out to be ideal. So I walked through it a couple of times, picked my spot, and I thought that'd be alright to make a camp sort of thing. So we knew where we were going once we got there. But I originally found the location on Google Maps.
Did you walk it in daylight?
I walked it in daylight originally, yeah. Parked up at the top and come down the hill. Knew it were quite steep downhill and it were going to be hard getting back up, but I'm going to say it was manageable. So
yeah.
So that we didn't have any access from any other way. It was too far. So
yeah. Did you know it were Broxer?
I knew it was Broxer, yeah. I knew it was Broxer Forest.
But before this, you'd no inclination or how weird in there?
Not at all. I just knew it was a remote location. I'd never, before that first time I walked through it, I'd never been to that place before. I'd heard of Broxer before, but I'd never been there, and that was my first visit, first time I walked through it in the day.
So when you got down into it and set up camp, there were you and Steve and someone else, so we're not naming, but there were you and Steve.
Yeah.
How long was it before you realised that something were amiss?
It was at least a couple of hours. We had a chance to have a sit down, have a rest, have a drink, and then decide how we're going to set us camp up. We got us camp set up with us tarp. Got all the sleeping bags out, everything was sorted. We had a little wood burner, we made a little fire, and we're just cooking some food. It had gone dark. We arrived around 8 o'clock at night. It were probably around midnight when we first realised that something was watching us, and it was my brother that alerted me.
Did it feel off before?
I didn't sense anything.
But did he?
He seemed really touchy. It was on edge all night. I just put it down to the fact that we were in a place what I didn't know, and it were really dark and remote. We had no phone signals, and I just put it down to the fact that it were out of his comfort zone, to be honest.
Is that normal for him?
Usually it's not so bad. I do take him quite a lot. I take him in Peak District, I take him in local woodlands. We've done a few wild camps and stuff like that with him, and usually he's pretty relaxed. But he seemed more on edge than usual, and obviously we were looking over his shoulder, and that's how he noticed that we're being watched.
Also on first.
Yeah. I was messing about with a fire, I think, at the time. I was cutting some sticks up to feed onto the fire, and he just came over my shoulder, said to me, "There's someone watching us." So I had a look round, and he says, "Over there," and I looked and I saw these two bright orange eyes staring back at us through a clearing and through trees. And my first instinct was, I don't know what that is. The eyes were low to the ground, a few feet, but it were bigger than the animal. The creature was. It weren't like a horse or anything like that. You're not going to get a horse in that.
You're on about distance between.
Yeah. And to be honest, I couldn't explain what it were. What do you think it is? And I just said, I'm not sure. I said it's probably a fox or something, but in the back of my mind I knew it weren't a fox. So then I'm just thinking it's gonna move on. Don't need to know what it is. Just keep doing what we're doing. Then about 20 minutes later, turned to me again and said, "It's still there. It's still there." So I looked over and it had not moved. The eyes were still in exactly the same position. It had not moved at all. And I said, don't. By this time, I could tell really uneasy. And the last thing I wanted for him to turn around and say, I want to go home or something like that, because we were all set up. I turned to Steve and said, "Steve, what do you think it is?" He says, "Oh, it's no. But I could was starting to feel really uneasy. Like I say, last thing I wanted for him to say, I want to go, because it was pitch black. We had all his gear set up. There was that big hill to try and get up in dead of night, and it was just like not happening. We're staying here. So I tried. I just said, "It's no. Just forget about it. It'll go. There's no that can harm us round here. So just forget about it."
That'd be after midnight then, would it?
Yeah. It was around that time. Like I say, I think I switched my phone off because I had no signal, and when my phone's searching for signal all the time, it drains battery pretty quick. So I say I'd actually switched my phone off by this point. I think we all had, because there was no point having him on with no signal. So really, it was around midnight though. I would say it was sort of like middle of evening. So anyway, by this point I could see it settling. He was sat there watching these eyes. I'm just saying, forget about it. And he says, I want to know what it is. So I says, look, it's nothing. So I stood up, I walked a couple of metres towards it and tried shooing it away. Flung my arms in the air, made a few noises, and obviously I were in pitch black. I turned round so I could see where my footing were to walk back to him, and when I turned round, that's when I saw Steve's face, and it was like they'd seen a ghost. They were just absolutely gobsmacked. So at that point I turned round and I looked and I thought, it's gone. And then my eyes looked up and it were about 7 foot higher than what it were. Well, it were about, the eyes were about 7 foot in the air.
They'd seen it rise up, hadn't they?
They'd seen it rise up, yeah. I would say at that point it was just like, what the hell is it? You could see the outline of it. At first I thought it's a bear or something like that, and then like I had about 1,000 thoughts in a second. Do we run? Do we stop? What if it's aggressive? What is it? It was just, everything just flew through my head in a split second. And then I'm thinking, I've got the Steve as well. With we can't run. We've got all his gear here, and it was just absolutely. It was fear. Absolute fear.
At that point, was it that cold rush of fear that you felt, or did?
Oh yeah, I would say it was. To be honest, it was a feeling I never had before. To try and comprehend what I was looking at, to how I was feeling and everything, it was just overwhelming, and it took my breath really. I know Steve were panicking. Like he were ready to run. And we're trying to calm him down, but at the same time not make any false moves or provoke it in any way. But he just stood there, just carried on, just never really moved, just kept its position. And in the darkness, the moon must have been high in the sky, because you could, once it come up out of above the background line of the background, you could see the shape of it through the trees, with the moonlight.
And huge shoulders.
Huge shoulders, yeah. I would say it were. No, when a dog puts its shekels up.
Oh yeah.
It were like that. It were clumped up,
sort of hyena like.
Yeah, but its arms weren't as hairy. They were, from what you could see the definition in its arms.
Compared to our arms then, how big were these arms?
It was.
I know you've only got a silhouette.
Yeah. It were in proportion to the rest of its body. They were big. They were long. They were long, really long.
And thickness.
To be honest, it were looking at it. I would say it weren't something that I wanted to stand and look at. To be honest, we tried to disappear back into shadows a bit and get out of the way. And
were you all packed into that bivvy then?
no, we went to the tree. We didn't go near it. We stayed away from bivvy. We went and behind a tree down at the bottom of the hill, and then sat on the bank at the back of there.
Because I know Steve said something interesting enough. We did speak about it.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to look at it after a while. He was frightened to look at it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say you
could see what it were. You knew what it was. We can't explain it away. By this time, when it stood up, I don't know if it was 5 minutes, 20 minutes, it was, you just like, you don't look at it, you don't, the fear, what it gives you, after so long, do you know, like, you're just waiting, and you're waiting, and it, just end it, just finish it then.
It was hard to take it in. You just wanted it to go. I would say it was. It were hard to look at it. It were really hard. It were disbelief more than anything. You wanted to blink your eyes and it'd be gone. Like, but
how do you describe them eyes glowing like that without a torch?
I don't know. Only time I've seen eyes like glow like that is when you do shine a torch on them. Like maybe when you catch a cat's eyes in the headlight or something like that, I'm going to say, but we weren't shining any lights on them.
You said it only sound you heard what it's
breathing. Yeah.
What?
It were heavy. It sounded big. It sounded echoey. It were rough, sort of like almost as if it were gonna turn into a growl sort of thing. But it were really, really heavy, and it you could just tell it were a big creature sort of thing, big animal.
And for anybody listening to this who says it were probably a horse on path or a cow on path, what would you say to that?
I know it weren't a horse or a cow. I would say whatever it were big. It were bigger than a cow. It were on two legs. It were definitely on two legs. You could see the arms and the body, and I would say there's no way a cow or a horse would even get in there anyway. I would say
I would 100% agree, but I just wanted to put that out because you said at one point its head were as big as a horse's.
Yeah.
But I think you could actually see shoulders and...
Yeah. You know what a horse looks like. I would say it were no horse, it were no cow. It was something I've not seen before, something I couldn't explain.
One last thing then. If we're going to try and imagine the size of this thing's head, then what animal would you compare it to?
Probably a bear. At first that's what I thought. When I saw outline of figure, I thought, is that a bear? And then like a grizzly or something like that. And then it was just like, logic kicked in and it was just like, I can't explain what it is.
Any part, Jim, that you don't want me to just tell me to stop? Or
no worries, mate.
What results are aftermath of this for you after you'd seen it for a week, 2 weeks, a month?
It took a while to get my head around the fact that I couldn't explain what it was. Even though none of us were hurt or like that or harmed, it really, really knocked my confidence. I spend a lot of time outdoors, going out in forests and camping and stuff like that. It's one of my favourite things. Fishing, I spend a lot of time on riverbank. don't think twice about getting my gear together on a weekend and going and spending a full weekend on Riverbank, or if I've got maybe 3 or 4 days off, packing everything up midwinter, even go and get bivvied up on side at river. And I would say I didn't do any of that for months and months and months. I would say me and Steve didn't really talk for a while after. It was just like, I think he was having it affected. See, I think it affected him worse than me, to be honest. I would say I don't want to speak for him, but
No, that's fair.
yeah. I would say, but we didn't talk for a while after that. And
Do you think I don't mean it affected your friendship, because you've been friends for a long time, but do you think it was the fact that it was so strange?
I think it were, yeah. I think it were the fact that we didn't want to talk about it, and when we saw each other again, we'd have to talk about it. So it were hard to sleep after as well. There were many a night I'd be tossing and turning in bed, spending hours thinking about it, what it were, and trying to explain it. And it was just a weird experience that I just couldn't get my head around for a while.
I suppose there's loads of things that are life changing, but do you think this has made you think different about what potentially is out there?
Yeah. I would say I were very, how would you put it? Very. I'd have to see it to believe it. I would say science and things that being explained by science and stuff like that. If you couldn't explain it with science, then how can it exist, sort of thing.
That's the mindset you had.
Yeah.
What would you say now?
I'd say it's definitely opened my mind up. And more you look into it, and more you read, and more you listen to other people's accounts and stuff like that, it's opened my eyes.
So have you previously, I think we covered this before, but previously then, had you ever looked into all like this?
Not really, no. I would say we're all folk tales and things you read in books and films and stuff like that, and I just thought something I didn't really pay attention to.
So if on off chance, which it wouldn't have happened, but I were in Broxer Forest, and you'd have walked through to set a camp up, and I'd have told you this story, what would you have said to me?
I'd have laughed and just said, well, if it gets me, it gets me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of people who've had experience, it changes them, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
What do you think it were?
Whether it were a physical animal, or whether maybe it were something else, I don't know. It had shape of a dog. It were a dog or wolf, but a humanoid as well. I would say you're going to say werewolf, but I would say I don't know if anybody can. Do werewolves exist? I would say what does one look like? I don't know, but if I were to describe it, it were a humanoid dog or a wolf man. That's what I perceived.
And there lies the difficulty of talking about this subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
Saying something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said before, and on I absolutely believe your story, just like I do Steve. Not everybody's out to make something up, and whether this goes on camera or it don't go on camera, you guys finished work and drove over 100 miles and walked into a forest, and we came out at night just to show us where you saw it.
Yeah.
No fuel money, nothing to gain, hard-working blokes. And then we spent night in forest.
It was hard going back there, but like I said to you when we were in there, it felt like a different place. I didn't feel that anxiety, and it felt that night it was dark. I felt on edge.
So when we're going again?